Hello everybody, this is so weird. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I last night literally went down the rabbit hole of watching back all my old YouTube videos and a lot has changed since then. So my last video I think was about 5 years ago and yeah, so much has changed, but I don't think I'll really go through like a whole life update. I probably will in another video. The reason why I wanted to start up my YouTube again is to share a bit of my journey. I haven't really seen anyone else sharing this sort of content and I feel like it's something that I would love to watch myself. So basically last year in March, I got diagnosed with POI, which if some of you don't know what that is, it's Premature Ovarian Insufficiency. So basically what that means is I did an AMH test, which is a ballpark figure of how many eggs you have left in your ovaries. And mine was 0.2, which is very, very low for a... Oh, I didn't think I was going to get emotional filming this. So yeah, along with my AMH being super low, my progesterone and estrogen are also pretty much non-existent, and my FSH and LH are super high. So how I sort of understand it is your FSH and your LH and your progesterone and estrogen are like a seesaw. So when one's really low, one will be high, and then vice versa. If one's high, the other one's low. So ideally you want them in balance, which is what I'm working with a naturopath to do. But sort of how it all came about was I was having kind of painful periods. Like, I say kind of, but they were quite painful. Like I would be at work and I would get like goosebumps. I felt really like nauseous just from the pain. Like it was, yeah, I couldn't really get through a day, but that was only on like my first day of my cycle or my second day. But in saying that, I knew pain during a period, like really bad pain, isn't normal. So I started seeing a local naturopath to where I was living at the time. And we just started working on trying to balance my hormones with supplements and just a few lifestyle changes. My period then went really short, which now looking back at it, it was because I wasn't ovulating. So yeah, my cycle went really short. Then it started to go longer. I went like, I think 60 days without having a period. So I went to my GP for actually to get a pap smear, and I just mentioned to her about my cycle and she said, let's do some blood work. So we did some blood tests. They came back a bit out of the range, so then she wanted to wait another 4 weeks and then do them again and then again. So I did it 3 times to try and get like an average and a really accurate representation of my hormones, because obviously different times of the month, like your hormones are always going to change. And by that third one, I still hadn't had my period, and by that point it probably would have been at least 90 days. So she referred me to a gynecologist who then did further testing, and she was the one that tested my AMH genetic testing, because sometimes this sort of thing can be like a genetic, like you have a, I don't know, something to do with your chromosomes. I don't really know about that part, but I didn't have that, so that's why I haven't really looked into it. I need to get a ultrasound. So I got a external, I went in thinking I was just getting an external ultrasound. Also got an internal ultrasound. Not very comfortable. That ultrasound, they sort of ruled out having any like cysts or anything like that on my ovaries. With that all ruled out, we did the further testing, had 12 vials of blood taken out of me, which is the most I've ever had in one sitting. Ended up being fine though, I felt fine. And off they went. During this time, I was getting married. We bought a house. So a lot of high stress as well. So I was really trying to focus on bringing my stress levels down to help bring on my period. My test results were off getting tested. My blood results were off getting tested. We got married, we went on a honeymoon, like didn't really think anything of it. Enjoyed our wedding. Why am I getting emotional? The day we got back from our honeymoon, we then drove back home because at this point we were living like 3 hours away from Adelaide. And that night we had our video consult with my gynecologist, and then that's when she told us that with all the test results that had come back, she called it, POI, but she basically said it's like perimenopause, so it's like my body is going through menopause. I am only 26. So yeah, that was really hard to hear that, like, we just got married, and the next step, obviously, that a lot of people expect is then, you want to have a family and have kids and everything. And literally we got home from our honeymoon and like you start to sort of think about that next step in your life, and it just got ripped away from us. So anyway, going back to, obviously we got told that news from my gynecologist, and we were really quite disappointed in how, like, obviously they're doing their job and they're trying to tell you like straight out what it is, but like it's all about the delivery. Like, she honestly just was like, yep, this is what it is. You're not going to be able to conceive yourself. You're going to be able to carry. Your body's like super healthy to carry, but you're not going to be able to naturally conceive. You're going to have to get a donor egg. And just hearing that was just like, and she just kept talking and talking about all these different things. And I'm like, I just want to get off this call. Like, I've heard the news. I just want to cry. And so that night, my parents were 4 hours away, and we called them and they literally were like, we'll be there in 4 hours. So they drove down and were with us for probably 3 or 4 days, just supporting us. Because, yeah, it was really hard news to find out. And because we were living away from family, like a 3-hour drive, like you just feel super lonely. We obviously had each other, but you just sort of want your family around you. I don't even know where I was up to, but yeah, so we found out the news. I contacted my naturopath that I was seeing at the time, and she wasn't currently actually practicing, like she was on maternity leave. So she just said, come over, we'll have a chat, just for extra support. So Amy, God bless you. You were an absolute lifesaver at that point in time, because she gave us hope that, we still were going to be able to conceive a baby naturally, because her naturopath that she sees actually also got diagnosed with POI and now has 3 healthy, beautiful babies. So it really gave us that little bit of hope and just a different perspective, because the gynecologist basically explained it like, this is the end of being able to naturally conceive. Like, you're not going to be able to. Like, there was literally no sliver of hope. Like, she was just like, this is the end. Really hard for us to hear. But then when we spoke to Amy, our naturopath, she said like, no, you can, like, it might be a lot harder, but there's a lot of things you can do. And she said that, yes, your egg count may be low, but like, honestly, you only need 1 egg to be able to fall pregnant, and the quality of your eggs is a hell of a lot more important than the quantity. So that gave us a lot of hope. She then referred us on to the naturopath that she does see, and we booked in with them. They've been super helpful, supportive, amazing. We see Takia at the Hormone Health Studio, and she has got us on, both Zach and I, we're on some supplements just to help support my hormones, which I have like noticed a huge difference in just like my everyday health. Everyone knows the symptoms of menopause. You get hot flushes, like moody. I was getting a little bit of like social anxiety, which I think was linked to my hot flushes, because I would get all hot and red and flushed. If I was talking to someone and that was happening, I would be thinking about like, oh fuck, my face is all red, they're probably looking at me. Like, it was just a whole thing. So ever since, and at night time I would wake up in like the sweats. I was just super hot. Yeah, it was really uncomfortable. So she got me onto some supplements that have been helping that, and like my hot flushes are pretty much non-existent now, which is a good indication to show that like they are helping. I still don't have a period, and it's been probably over a year now, so I don't really know how that's all going to unfold. But in terms of managing the symptoms of perimenopause, or POI, I don't like to call it perimenopause, it just sounds like, I don't know. Yeah, in terms of managing the symptoms of POI, like the supplements have really helped. And then just making some lifestyle changes. Like at the time I was working at a cafe 7 till 3. I would then go straight to the gym and take like 3 or 4 clients, like doing personal training, until maybe like 6:30, and then no, it would have been about 6, and then I would go straight to the hall where I was teaching my Pilates classes until like 7:30. So I would be leaving home at 6:30, working from 7 till 7:30, and then I'd be getting home at 8. So like I loved it. Like I love working and like hustling, and yeah, but like obviously my body just didn't, and I don't know if that was a contributing factor, like along with planning a wedding, because if anyone knows, planning a wedding is very stressful. Buying a house, like that was just, yeah, a lot financially as well, which we pulled off and we managed to do it, and I'm so proud of ourselves for doing that. But it probably added to that just stress. In the lead up to the wedding, obviously, like you want to feel as most confident and strong in your body on your day, and so Zach and I decided to go into a little mini cut. So we were counting our calories, and like I was hitting the gym pretty hard, not in a bad way, but I was pushing myself, lifting heavy weights, like, and I saw the results, and like I felt super happy and confident in my body. But I don't know, maybe that was a contributing factor as well. I don't know. In saying all of that, that's sort of where we are now. We're still taking our supplements. We're seeing our naturopath in a month or so. We're going to do some blood tests to sort of see where all my blood levels and hormones are at, and then go from there. That's sort of my story, and I just wanted to open up and share about it because I'm sure, I know there would be a lot of other women experiencing the same diagnosis, and there really just isn't much out there. Like I've been looking, and there's just no one else really sharing their story like on YouTube or Instagram or anything like that. So this was my way of sort of expressing myself and sharing my story, but also opening up to connect with other women that may be experiencing something similar. It can be a scary world out there when there isn't much information on female health and our hormones. There's not much education around like the food we eat, the toxins and chemicals in the products we use. Like so much of it can affect our hormone. I'm not saying that's what caused mine, like we don't know what causes it. And that's another thing, like much research I should say into why these things happen. To raise awareness for POI, share my story, document my journey, and yeah, so going forward I just want to share videos on basically my day-to-day life, things that we're doing to help my hormones, changes we've made within our lifestyle and within our home, and everything in between. So yeah, that's my story. I'm not doing this to get like sympathy or anything. Like yeah, some days it still upsets me, but I've come to terms with it, and we are happy and healthy besides my hormones. And yeah, really enjoying our life. So yeah, for anyone who isn't going through something like this, and you have like friends or family who may have just gotten married, like don't ask them when they're having kids. Look, I don't know, it's hard because like some people ask me, you know, are you gonna have kids, blah blah blah, and it sort of does give me the chance to open up and sort of bring awareness to what we're going through. But at the same time, like every time you see someone having a kid or just like, oh, we're pregnant, like there's so much of that going around at the moment because we are at that age where a lot of people are. Or even people just saying like, yep, we're gonna start trying. And I don't know, it's hard because we never got, like we're not ready for kids. We weren't planning to have kids anytime soon. But obviously with this diagnosis, it sort of bring it like further to the forefront of our minds to be like, well, we got to start thinking about this now, because if we do have to go down the IVF route or anything like that, like it can take years, and if you don't sort of look into that and start that now, like you might run out of time. And I know like people can still conceive as you get older, but for me, like as I get older, you lose more eggs. So we really have to think about it now, which it does suck because like after you get married, you sort of then look to that next step of, you know, that exciting time when you're like, oh, let's start trying for a baby and like, let's not tell anyone, and then it can be a surprise. But like, we don't really get that. Life is forced our hand and we just have to sort of roll with it. And I know that like everything happens for a reason, and whatever happens will happen, and you sort of just have to accept that. But yeah, like as much as we try and stay positive, you do look at it and think like, fuck, I just wish, you know, we could have that normal life and that normal timeline of getting married and then, you know, living our young life and decide to try and get pregnant and just enjoy that sort of process of life that a lot of people get to do. But yeah, we don't get that, and that's okay. Like I know, like I said, it's all for a reason. It's made us stronger. It's made us like take our health seriously and take it into our own hands. So yeah, it's just a thought, just a bit of food for thought. Just be a bit more, maybe sensitive around those. Oh, funny story. So I'm not going to say who or what or when, but I was having a hot flush and this older woman was like, oh, you got menopause, like look at you with your fan, like, because I literally take this Bali fan that I bought in Bali whenever I, like wherever I go, because sometimes I can just get a hot flush. Not these days, but back in the day before my supplements were helping, I'd be like sitting there fanning myself because I'm sweating. And she just joked around like, oh, are you going through menopause too? And it's like, yeah, I am actually. So like, yeah, I don't know. I think there's not enough awareness around it, so people don't really know. Sorry, my camera just died, so it did just cut me off. But basically what I was saying is, the lady didn't say that with the intention to upset me. Like she was just saying it like off the cuff as a joke. But I think because there isn't much education or awareness about this type of stuff, like I know endo and PCOS, there's a lot more stuff about that now and a lot of people sharing their stories. But with POI, like I didn't even know it existed until I got diagnosed with it. So yeah, I think it's more of just an awareness and education thing, for people to be a bit more sensitive around that topic. And like I'm more than happy to speak about it, but yeah, on some days, like other days, like it can be super hard and challenging, and then other days I'm like, no, everything will happen how it's supposed to happen. We just have to have faith that like this is our plan. I have so much more that I could speak on this topic, and yeah, but I'm just going to leave it at that. You guys have got the sort of gist of my story and how it all came about, weekly vlogs and all of that type of thing, and just naturally through that I will speak more to this topic and things that I've gone through and things that we're doing. So yeah, that's my story. If you're still listening, thank you. I would love if you would like and subscribe if you want to follow along this journey, and leave a comment or feel free to message me on Instagram. My DMs are always open. Otherwise, thank you so much for listening, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.